To access speech map counseling, right-click the mouse to raise a home prompt and select Speech Map under On-Ear or Test Box. The counseling tool can help educate the client on their hearing loss and on the impact of hearing aid amplification. It can be used for counseling the client before, during, or after RealEar or test box verification. Select Counseling to open the counseling tool. If SpeechMap is set to dual graph view, the counseling tool will open in dual view and show both the left and right sides to support varied counseling workflows. If SpeechMap is set to single graph view, the counseling tool will open in single view and show the selected left or right side. When in single graph view, start by toggling ear selected to the left or right ear to select which side is displayed for counseling. The counseling tool features 3 overlay groups: hearing tests, hearing range, and hearing aid. Within each overlay group, individual overlays can be turned on or off by checking or unchecking the boxes. Select Hearing Tests. The Hearing Tests overlay group is for educating the client on their hearing loss using their audiogram superimposed on a degree of loss chart. If you prefer to counsel using the same scale used for the hearing test, you can select the scale toggle to switch from dB/SPL to dBHL. Select your hearing to display your client's hearing thresholds that were previously entered into SpeechMap. If no hearing thresholds were entered for the selected ear, the selection will be disabled. The SpeechMap button can be selected at any time to return to SpeechMap. Select Sounds of Life to display pictorial representations of the amplitude and frequency of familiar real-world sounds. Real-world sounds are variable in amplitude and frequency. However, the overlay can be useful to help counsel on how hearing loss affects the audibility of various real-world sounds. Select Speech Sounds to display phonemes plotted to represent their typical amplitude and frequency for soft, average, and loud speech. Though phonemes are variable in amplitude and frequency depending on the talker, the overlay can be helpful in explaining the audibility of speech sounds based on the hearing loss. Select Labels to display a label for the client's hearing thresholds. Labels may help the client better understand the graph elements. Select Hearing Range. The Hearing Range overlay group is for counseling on the client's dynamic range, also referred to as their residual auditory area. This can be compared with an idealized normal hearing dynamic range and can be effective in counseling on concepts such as the loudness accruitment associated with sensorineural hearing loss or the goals associated with a compression hearing aid fitting. Select Normal Hearing Range to show the range between the softest and loudest sounds that are audible without being uncomfortably loud for individuals with normal hearing. In SPL view, this is shown with a gray area bordered by minimal audible pressure at the bottom and typical uncomfortable loudness levels for a normal audiogram at the top. This area represents a normal hearing dynamic range. If you toggle the HL view, the gray area will show the range between 0 dBHL and the average dBHL UCLs associated with a 0 dBHL audiogram. Select your hearing range to show your client's hearing range between the softest sounds they can hear and the loudest sounds that do not exceed their individually measured or averaged UCLs for the hearing loss. This is shown with a shaded blue area for the left ear and a shaded red area for the right ear. In SPL view, the bottom border is the individual SPL thresholds marked with X's for the left ear and O's for the right ear. And the top borders are the entered or average SPL UCLs. The area between these borders is the client's residual dynamic range, which can be compared to a normal dynamic range at any time. This counseling can also occur in dBHL view, where the red or blue dBHL thresholds become the top border of the graph and the dBHL UCLs become the bottom border. As in the Hearing Test tab, you can also show the Sounds of Life overlay, and the Speech Sounds overlay for soft, average, or loud speech. Labels can also be shown for select graph elements. Select Hearing Aid. The hearing aid overlay group is for counseling the client on the audibility impact of the prescribed amplification using a combination of predicted unaided environmental sounds and previously completed aided speech envelopes and prescriptive targets. Select the normal hearing overlay to show the minimum audible pressure. This is a dashed curve which represents the dB/SPL thresholds at the eardrum, equivalent to 0 dBHL thresholds. Select your hearing to display your client's hearing thresholds and their measured or average UCLs. As in previous tabs, you can show the speech sounds overlay for soft, average, or loud speech. You can also show the Sounds of Life overlay, again for counseling on the audibility of unaided real-world sounds. Select the drop-down to choose the speech map test level or stimulus that will be used for subsequent counseling. You can select between soft, average, and loud speech. And if MPO and Speech Live have been measured in SpeechMap, these stimulus options will be available labeled as loud tones and live speech. Selecting a stimulus determines what will be shown in the overlays beneath the menu. For example, if soft speech is selected, then speech sounds will show soft speech phonemes. Without hearing aid shows the predicted unaided soft speech envelope. With hearing aid will show the soft speech envelope measured in SpeechMap. Prescription will show the targets for soft speech. And the Speech Intelligibility button will launch the Quick Access SII counseling tool, which will show the predicted speech recognition for unaided and aided soft speech SII values. For more information on counseling in SpeechMap, please refer to the Verifit2 user guide.